about 1:30. We've got the press here. The judge is out of town today and can't make our meeting, but we do have all the finance committee members plus 4 others. So we're good shape. It's a dual meeting on this one. We're not going to beat it to death though. What we have for as far as finance goes is we have our regular monthly meeting in anticipation of our next week's Tuesday night regular quorum court meeting. And then we're also continuing this never-ending budget for 2020. And then after this meeting is over, Justice Ash has called a personnel committee meeting, so we'd like to ask everybody to please stay for that. I guess let's talk about the regular monthly meeting first, because I'm really going to brief it up. Expenditures are right on track. I didn't catch anything myself out of the ordinary. Kelly, did you see anything that I missed?
I didn't, but there's a few funds that I still need to look at a little closer, see if there's anything that just needs to be moved from one line to another, but overall, no, I didn't.
Well, between getting cross-eyed over the budget, I didn't catch anything. So we're still on track for the budget. Our tax collections and revenues are continuing on. You know, last week when we met, we had actually dipped significantly and gotten as low as we'd gotten, but we had some more tax collections come in. Susan was here last week and said collections were going really good. Peggy's got a current fund balance sheet with her, and I glanced at it just before we got started. Peggy, you want to tell us kind of what you're thinking and where we're at?
Well, as of Thursday, the county general balance was 2.1, and that's after our October collections, tax collections. So, you know, it did come up quite a bit. Our computer is down today, so that does not include any receipts from Friday, but it, you know, wasn't that much, but we're back up to 2.1 million in county general, so that's good.
And at one point, we'd actually dropped down to like 600,000.
Yeah, so October collections really brought it back up.
And that still doesn't include any portion of our big tax settlement that usually comes right at year end.
Right. I think she may be coming tomorrow to
Start, Hannah?
Yeah, to pick up some stuff to start working on it.
But it, usually right at the end of the year, isn't it? Or mid-December at best?
Oh yeah, it'll be middle of December or close to the end before we get it done.
So, you know, barring any unexpected bills or big expenditures, we'll end up the year in pretty good shape. Now, our revenue CD is at 3.3. County general CD is at 3.3, and that's the best we've had since I can remember.
Yeah.
So
At least in a long time.
At least a long time. That's exactly right. We don't have to meet the second week of January to see if we can make payroll. That's that's a good thing. So, in general, we're in really good shape. We're finishing up 2019 in good shape. Everybody's done a good job. All the elected officials have done a real good job of maintaining their budgets, keeping things in line for us. We haven't had much unforeseen. I don't have any knowledge of anything in regular financials or ordinances that we need to propose for out of the finance committee for this coming month's business. Do you?
Actually, no, I don't have anything.
You know, we've done so many of them this year. You'd think we'd run out of stuff we needed to do. Peggy, do you know of anything that we need to tend to business-wise out of the finance committee for regular monthly business?
No, I don't.
Janice? Nothing out of your office?
No, sir.
Leslie, anything out of your office? Mum's the word?
I mean, you said anything we need to clear up it before the end of the year?
Well, yeah, anything that we need to take care of next week as far as finances out of the finance committee?
Not that I know of. I think, unless I've had a lot of court on Mondays here lately, are we still waiting on our normal budgets to be approved?
Yes.
Okay.
You're talking about for the 2020 deal?
Yes.
Yeah, we're fixing to delve into that a little bit.
Okay.
See where we're at there. Daryl, anything out of juvenile or your department?
Can't think of anything.
But now, you do have something that we want to talk about a little bit, I think, in this 2020 budget.
Yes, sir, about that one time.
Yeah, okay. Any JPs, anything y'all know of? I'm just trying to get the monthly business out of the way here without dwelling on it, because we need to jump into the 2020 budget if we're ready. Okay, 2020 budget. We've got the revenues, budget worksheet, we've got the expenditure budget worksheet. We have a few changes that we're trying to make and would like to make. There you go, Justice Nelson.
Bless you.
But I guess we need to get the white elephant out of the room first. I think everybody, but maybe Justice Clay, were you here a while ago, Miss Hinton, for the insurance meeting?
No.
Okay, then, we had an insurance committee meeting a while ago. I'm not on that committee, that was Justice Bill's committee. And,
If she misses one more, I'm gonna take her to Skinner.
you gonna get her some opposition?
Skinner.
Skinner.
Say what?
I wouldn't miss that.
You got to catch me first.
Do you want to, Justice Nelson, why don't you summarize, rather than me summarize, that was your committee, why don't you summarize what,
And that's a mouthful to summarize it.
well, just get it down to the basics, what
The
happened?
basics is, I think I want to change what I told Kelly about the 15% and go ahead and put in the 22 that this new company, which I think we need to meet next week and agree that they will be our broker and get away from LS. Pretty well see everybody agreeing to that. I think that they have been honest with them. The gentleman sitting here, Travis, said that do not go with municipal league. He said we would not be happy. So I don't know what that means, but I think that we ought to continue, Kelly, getting a price on that. He didn't say don't go with them. He said they may come and ask for more money during the process.
After the fact.
He wasn't bad-mouthing them, but he wasn't complimenting them. We all learned some new definitions of some terms that we didn't know. Anyway, I think what it boils down to is that the 15% that I thought would make it is not going to make it. It's going to actually be about 22. And I think that we ought to, as an insurance committee, ought to go ahead and suggest to the finance committee that that's what we put in there and move on with the budget process. Unless somebody on the insurance committee, and there's no one here. Oh, but,
You got Bubba and Betty and
no, Betty's not on the issue.
Molly, okay.
Yeah, we've got three. He was here. What do you think if we go ahead and do that? Or I don't see any better. Do you?
No, and I talked to Kelly afterwards, and I mean, I think we're just, I think these people here today were honest. They told us the truth, and they said that what they said about the municipal league, that our employees would suffer, our county employees would suffer, their benefits would not be near as good, and I think they even said if you're hospitalized for over 30 days, that the municipal league quits paying, and it comes right out of the employee's pocket, so that would be devastating to anybody.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's no way, I mean, because everybody knows what it costs to stay in a hospital overnight, so if you were in some kind of catastrophic accident or whatever, and you were intensive care for over 30 days, then you gotta start paying the bill. There's no way that we can put that kind of burden on our employees, or the county employees.
And I also agree with them that we ought to participate in that drug program. That ought to be mandated of our employees. I don't know if we can mandate it, but certainly ought to suggest strongly that they participate in the
If they're gonna help them.
the pharmacy program.
Yeah, they were gonna do that on their own.
Yeah, they're gonna help the people.
They were gonna take care of that part of it.
Really, that's other than that. I mean,
That's what it boils down to.
It's what it boils down to. Yeah, it's And I think that's going to reduce the raises to probably nothing in order to cover all of the insurance, which most people may not understand that if we pay all the insurance, that's better financially for them than them having to
Oh, way better.
pay a portion of it and then pay tax on some of the other stuff. So
They understand.
I think financially it's better for them, for us to do that than to give them a 3% raise. They have to pay income tax on that, and then they have to pay a part of the insurance. That to me is just not the best thing for the employees.
Guys, for you elected officials that weren't here a while ago in the earlier insurance meeting, Janice and y'all, our best case scenario is 22% increase in insurance. That's best case. Worst case was 43. We asked the question, if we go the 22, would that lower our employees' coverage? And they said no. But if we wanted to do anything extra, it was just going to go up from there. A 22% increase per employee results in right at $2,100 per employee increase, just increase. And it moves our insurance to just less than $12,000 per employee, almost $1,000 a month.
Which company?
Same one that we're with this year.
No, annually, $12,000.
Yeah, annually, but $1,000 a month. Same company that we're using right now.
Just a different broker.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
State police have switched their insurance company effective January 1 of 2020. They're going with, I can't remember what the name of it, it's health something, but it's part of Blue Cross Blue Shield system. And they're not gonna, nothing will change, no rates, no nothing. And it's kind of merging them with the APERS employee system insurance, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, which I think, if I remember the numbers right, state, APERS has got 3,000 to 4,000 employees statewide. State police got 500 to 600. So they're pooling them in a bigger pool, and they've worked the numbers, and nothing's changing. So that might be something to look at too. It's just a suggestion, something to look at.
One of the things we found out in this meeting a while ago is that we truly are a self-funded fund right at the moment. That really wasn't explained very well last year when we thought about this to begin with. But now that we've had such catastrophic losses during the 2019 season, that a lot of the funds, such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, declined to even give us a quote. Where we've collected something slightly less than $1 million, $974,000 in fees, insurance payments that we've made. Our payouts are going to be slightly over $2 million. Approximately 2.1 million. So we're about 1.1 million in the hole, payments against claims.
I understand.
And that's really putting us in a hole, at least for this next year, until we can kind of get that levelized out. Other people just not even wanting to give us quotes. Kelly's been working on it.
I mean, it's just a thought, because everybody has catastrophic losses from time to time. No matter what
Can't be helped.
company.
Nobody's pointing fingers.
Nobody
because-
helped that, and I'm sure they have too. Of course, I don't know the number of the ASP retirees, but they're all in that pool along with their active members. So when you pick up older people, now you're going to have higher cost. So it may be something, you can probably call the director and get an idea of who to talk to, and it might be something we could work
Yeah,
into.
it
I don't
never
know.
hurts to check things out.
It's worth a call.
But I think one of the things that Justice Nelson then just was pointing out, if we do, and right now for this budget process, we've got to finish this budget up as soon as we can. It's going to be to the county's benefit or to the county's advantage for the moment in completing the budget process to include at least a 22% increase over this year's premiums.
And we know we can buy insurance at that price.
Yes, we do know we can do that. 22% increase correlates to about $400,000 increase in the insurance rates. When we were talking about in this budgetary process, we've had Kelly look at it in a couple of different ways. We did it with a 1,000 across the board per employee raise, and then we did it with a 3% raise across the board. And either way, it comes out to about $200,000. But honestly, if we're gonna suffer over $400,000 in insurance premium increase, and we're talking long-term, because we don't know what next year will bring, it's gonna make it difficult right now, at least in this budgetary process, to include an additional raise on top of that. So what Justice Nelson was pointing out, and I'd like for y'all to help share this to our employees, they'd be better off for us picking up and absorbing the $2,100 increase in insurance cost and forego a 3% or $1,000 raise, because they don't have to pay income tax on that. And any raises that we give them, they incur taxes on. Yes, ma'am.
I apologize, I may have missed this earlier. The $2,100, that's what it's gonna cost for each employee every month.
Additional, not every month, but for the year,
That's annual.
Okay.
for the year. Right now, we're paying $9,724.
Yes,
22% of that
yes,
is the increase, and that's about $2,100.
I got you.
So that's gonna put us just shy of $12,000 for the year.
So instead of giving a raise, just keep paying the insurance.
Just keep paying all the
That's
insurance,
what makes sense to me.
and they come out ahead.
That makes sense to me.
That's a lot.
So insurance is going from like 890 to 2,100 or whatever the number is.
Right at $1,000, isn't that right?
Yeah, if it's,
Going up close to 2,000 total for the year per person.
No,
97,
12,000
I mean,
per,
12,
yeah,
yeah,
per year, about $1,000 a month per employee.
yeah, going from 890
It's
a month
11
to
something.
2,000 a
Well,
month.
I think it was actually $744 a month. I
Yeah.
think it was actually close to $750, $790 something a month.
Should be
So
about
it's going up to
11,500.
almost $1,000.
oh,
$988 per employee, just,
You gotta do what you got.
so, you know, $1,000 a month.
That keeps everything the same, the deductible and all the bits.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
okay. Mr.
Especially this
Nelson,
late in the game, I mean, when you're
adjusted, that's be phase one. Let's go to phase two, conditions. What they want,
Who was wanting?
insurance people,
I think they'll have to talk
I
to
think they're gonna
the
talk to the attorneys.
attorney
first.
attorneys and all that,
Yeah.
but they still need to know a little bit about it, don't they?
I don't know, I don't know until they talk with the county attorneys and kind of get a conference call. I don't know that there's much other, I don't know that there's any reason really to talk about it, is there?
She's talking about the Medicare.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that I talked with her after the meeting was over, and I asked her, was that done, was she for sure? She said, yes,
Okay.
but she thinks that we ought to get our attorney to talk with these people and perhaps get it in writing, she says, but it's in that 105, that can happen, and she said, y'all should do it. That was after we had adjourned, so I think that we ought to, after the first, we ought to do a supplemental appropriation once we get that in writing to cover that, Mr. President.
President? Did you say Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
I think,
Maybe Abe Lincoln.
And that's not going to cost us a lot of money. I don't remember what it cost before. Do you remember?
I think even the highest person that we paid for, it was still half of what we paid for our
insurance.
regular health plan,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Justice Helper's right. I think we need to make it clear what we're talking about, because nobody has any idea, I'm sure.
Okay, so, guys, what kind of been tossed around a little bit here is,
Well, it's a condition of a 22% increase. I mean, almost, not that every employee of the age of 65, but that some, I mean, they'd like to see at least 7, basically what they said. You know, not all 16 or however they said, some of them have to get on this and for us to get that 22% increase. I mean, 20,
we've got employees, personnel, people with the county that are age 65 or older, which at age 65, you're mandated, you have to sign up on Medicare or you pay a forever penalty. Huh?
Why do you keep looking at me?
Because you keep looking back.
she ain't even 29. You can ask her if you don't believe me.
I should have brought my shades in.
I'm just playing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But anyway, at age 65, you're required to sign up on Medicare, at least Part A, and then you're encouraged to sign up on Part B. Part B is the part that you pay for. And, but if you are provided with a worker healthcare plan, you don't have to. You can put it off until you quit work with your employer, and then you can sign up without the penalties. So over the years, way back,
That long.
yeah, 8 years ago. I know it was 8 years ago. It might have been just 6, but we were actually, for those over 65, we were paying instead of the say employee Barry had signed up on Medicare, and instead of paying for insurance for him $1,000 a month, we would pay for Barry's Medicare part, which was only $400 a month, and it was saving the county money. And most of the employees over $65 were all about that. Well, then just a few years ago, we got notice from Medicare that we couldn't do that. And effectively what they said was that we were encouraging our employees to take Medicare instead of our county-provided insurance, and that was illegal. We were trying to make Medicare the primary. So, and honestly, Kelly was told that we could suffer up to a $30,000 a day penalty over that. So we had to quit. We couldn't take those employees that were over 65 and pay their Medicare payments for them instead of their insurance, even though it was saving us money. So we quit that. Now then, the laws have changed. Now then, we apparently can. They want our lawyer, our county lawyer, to talk to their lawyer about the intricacies of making those payments and getting our over 65 associates signed up on the Medicare and lowering our liabilities. And by doing that, that will also lower our payouts. And that's where Justice Norvell was pointing out that's kind of a contingency on our getting only a 22% increase. Remember, I said it could go to 43. That's what he quoted this while ago. So, Justice Norvell and Justice
That's correct.
Nelson, am I
Yes,
correct in that?
you explained it very good.
So,
Is this strictly voluntary?
Yes, can't mandate, it's against law to mandate.
but Justice Burge is
Is a testimony.
just barely over 65.
And I wish Justice Burge would tell what he told our.
That's what I want him to tell. I want him to tell his experience.
Okay.
Well, I have quite an experience with Medicare due to my age, but there is no better coverage, and a lot of people misunderstand this. I'm appalled when I hear people that are still under company insurance. I've been under Medicare. I didn't take the county insurance. I've been under Medicare all the time. If you have Medicare and a good Medicare supplement through Blue Cross or someone, and a drug card, it's the best coverage you can get anywhere.
Yes, that's what my
Anywhere.
daddy does.
I have never had a doctor bill in the time I've been on Medicare. Because what Medicare, they pay 80%.
Yep.
Your supplement pays the deductible. Your supplement pays the additional 20%. And I mean, and it's, my wife has to take an arthritis shot. They bill the darn thing out at $10,000 a month. Medicare pays $3,500 or something. Supplement picks it up. We have never, either of us have ever had to pay a penny on doctors or hospitals.
My daddy has never paid a
It's the
penny.
best coverage you can get. And a lot of people don't understand it. They're fearful about
He's
leaving
right,
the
that
company.
$3,500 a month would have been,
Because we've been on.
On us.
Yeah, that's right,
That's
yes.
exactly
and it would have made ours go up even more, so.
Medicare
he's
gets a
out.
better rate than
Oh,
normal
yeah.
insurance
They
does.
set the rates.
Yeah, so our insurance may have paid $7,000 for that same
That
shot.
may just be.
But we're gonna pay the
communication
supplement
and
for
education.
county employees.
That's what
So they're
we-
gonna be in good shape, you know, and then the supplement's gonna cost us less than, they have better insurance and
Cost the county.
It will
cost the county
cost-
less.
It will cost, I don't know what the new Medicare rate, it will cost, I hate to put my neck out there, it'll be less than it'll be $400 or less a month.
That's
are
$600 savings to the
Medicare
county.
and a good supplement and the drug card versus what we're gonna be paying $1,000. It's gonna be about 40, somewhere between 40 and 50%.
And it takes those payout liabilities off of the
Takes
county
it off of the county.
and off the rest of the
And
employees.
and the employee really gets better
That's
coverage.
right.
Yes.
So we just wanted the elected officials particularly to understand that for all
Well, I
your
mean,
employees.
If my daddy hadn't had so many health issues, I wouldn't know all that, but my daddy has never paid a penny, and he's had tons of major
Good
health
as you can
issues.
get.
So you understand, we're gonna add in 22% on all the insurance lines. Kelly will have to make all those adjustments and go back in our expenditures. And, then
Geez, so sweet.
we're gonna forego any consideration of raises, of the moment.
I agree.
Committee?
We don't have any choice on it.
I don't think we got any choice right now. And then just see where we go from here.
We have enough on the insurance committee here if you want us to make that official to the finance committee, or if you don't, that's fine.
Well, I mean, it just depends, do you wanna have another meeting next week?
No, not just for that.
Well, then,
Now, we've got some other things working. The only reason we'd need to meet would be if they come in lower. If these other people that we're waiting to hear from comes in higher, we will never meet with them, but if they come in lower, we will.
okay. Well, you wanna go ahead and take care of your business right quick then, and
We got a proposal this morning from what used to be LS Associates, and those of us on the insurance committee, if you're agreeable to accepting the 22%, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, so we present that 22% to the finance committee from our committee.
okay. And
And
then,
like I said, the only way we'll come to you is if we get a better offer.
Sounds perfect. The only, Justice Nelson, we will have to have another meeting if we're gonna change brokers unless we do that right now.
that's true. Unless you want,
Because we
because
gotta
from my understanding, and Kelly or Cindy or Steve, somebody can correct me, I think they presented him with a letter, but he didn't want to sign it until he talked to the
Us.
committee.
Yeah, the judge has a letter to accept them as a brokerage firm. But do we wanna do that now, or do we wanna wait? I mean, I can come to another meeting, it's not an issue with me, but
Well, let's wait a week or 10 days before we accept them as the broker, just to see if somebody comes in with a 20% or an 18 or 19%. If that's okay with y'all.
well, we could even make, I mean, I would be willing to make a motion, I'm just gonna state, I'm not making a motion, I'm stating what I would make a motion, that we do accept this other company as a broker, if we don't have another company come in with a lower bid, and we've got the first of the year to accept them as a broker, so.
Thank you.
I'll put that in a motion form then.
And I would second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
Okay, sounds good.
And I will take care of it if we need to meet, and I will.
That's why you're the
Chairman. El Presidente.
Together, we shall make it.
Oh, together. If we don't work together as a team, we don't work at all. Okay, so that's gonna rearrange our expenditure budget considerably.
Yes.
We're gonna add that 400,000 or so in, and we're gonna take out the raises. But that's still an additional 200,000 more than we had kind of worked into the deal, so.
So we're gonna get into our CD just a little bit, or we're gonna just do it out of county?
I don't think we have to yet.
Also, for the record, the name of the brokerage firm is I-1 then if you already know it, but I'm just making sure because I didn't say it well ago.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so, looking at the expenditures and trying to wrap this budget up. Guys, we normally try to have it done and ready to present to the regular quorum court on the Tuesday meeting of November. This has been the budget from way down deep this year. I don't know why we've had so much trouble trying to put this budget together. We've had less response or less timely response from a lot of the different departments, and then we've had a lot of changes requested here at the last minute. Kelly and I briefly talked in between meetings just a while ago. she's not entirely comfortable with being able to put everything together for next Tuesday. So we've got some changes that we need to make some decisions on, and before we can actually move forward. 3 or 4 of them are either wanting new employees or they're wanting to take part-time employees and make them full-time. Daryl's here, he's got one request. We've got the collector and assessor, neither one of which are here today, but making a similar request. The public defender is making a similar request. So we need to look at them, and we need to make some decisions. Now keep in mind that part-time employees do not qualify for benefits. They don't qualify for this $1,000 a month in insurance. So if we're taking a 20-hour employee and bumping them to 40 hours, and it looks like, well, we're only adding another $10,000 roughly in salary, that's true, but you're adding $12,000 in insurance plus the retirement and Medicare and everything else. So now then, a part-time employee is going to cost an additional $14,000 over and above the additional salaries. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just for your consideration as we look at these different positions that are being requested. It's not just the hours, it's also the benefit package that goes with it. So going down the list, I'm just starting at the top. I'm not wanting to pick on anybody else. If I was really wanting to pick on you, Daryl, I'd make you go first. Unless you want to go first.
I'm fine.
Are you? Okay, well, let's look at the collector and assessor. Collector and assessor are wanting to change the Leachville Manila clerk to a chief deputy. Pay for a chief deputy has been included in both the raise and no raise columns. Payroll split was 50-50, was changed to a 50-50 split in the budget numbers. I'd give anything if they were here. Kelly, that's not actually going from part-time to full-time, but what's the basic impact in your opinion there?
It's a little bit more of an annual salary. It really threw me off today.
I know.
I was hoping to go back before this meeting because I didn't grab anything, but I did.
Well, wasn't it roughly like $4,000?
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot more per year, but it was a little bit more. And Harley's, argument with that was that they used to be considered a chief deputy. They are expected to work more hours than the courthouse employees, and they are doing both jobs. They're doing assessor and collector, and are considered to be their own office manager type. So he said it used to be a chief deputy. That pay is $31,558 without the raise. And I think right now she's at 27.
Well, I thought that it was like $4,000 additional difference, but she does work more hours. And
So that's not, so we would not be there wouldn't be an open slot. We're just simply changing the job description.
To a chief, yeah, she would be called, he is proposing that she be called a chief deputy and receive the chief deputy pay.
personnel, does that step on toes?
Now, did we not say that any new positions had to have a job description?
They need to have the job description because that's what JSAP is based off of.
Mhm.
So if we don't have a proper job description, we have nothing to base the salary off of.
That's what I thought.
Step on toes, since most of my personnel committee's here, I don't see that's gonna be an issue, and we're gonna meet immediately after this, but what do you think?
We've discussed this, and I don't remember what exactly said, but I don't foresee a problem there, but I know we've discussed it at one point in time, but.
I
Okay,
think she's
so
been
do-
doing the job for a long time now and not getting the pay.
Yeah.
So y'all want to include it in the budget contingent on clearing it through the personnel committee and their job description process?
What are your thoughts on it, Bill?
It's up to the chairman. Let him make that decision.
Well, you gotta vote on it. He can't make that decision.
Well, if we change, if the designation as chief deputy was changed, it would actually fall under the same job description as other chief deputies,
I would think.
wouldn't it? I mean, there's one at Osceola, there's one here.
And basically what they didn't need to do is just change the slot title.
Right.
And then take an action
We
of the
need to
committee.
change, we need to change slot title, and have to go full court.
So what do you think if we just included in the budget, and then if y'all decide,
Contingent on the personnel committee and the full court vote.
And we'll
Yes.
discuss it here in a few minutes, but, that is, she's already a full-time person, so we're not gonna be adding the
No.
benefit package.
Nope.
Just the
Not in this
additional
particular
Medicare
slot.
and Medicaid.
right,
Social Security and Medicare.
it's just gonna be a
Tax.
slot, a title change and a $4,000 bump.
Okay.
Now, does that take into consideration the hours that she works more hours than the other ones?
No, I mean, she, you know, that's not paying her any extra for the extra hours. Is that what you mean? Is she-
Well, yeah, I'm just saying and I don't know, if they're all considered chief deputies and they all work the same hours or they don't, then she's not really getting the same pay if she works more hours.
Correct.
What are their hours in Leachville, Manila?
She works, I know her annual hours are 1898, let's see.
Instead of 1690 like courthouse people,
Yeah,
a couple hundred more.
she works 36 and a half hours when we work 32 and a half hours, so 4 more hours.
I bet she'll be tickled with a $4,000 raise.
I think so. I think what we do is just put it in at the chief deputy pay and leave her hours at what they are.
Okay.
I'll take the recommendation of the personnel chair.
I'll follow that.
I'll go
You good with that, Neil? Okay. Did you catch that, Kelly?
I did.
Okay. But now then, the assessor, as an additional request, he's got 2 appraisers. And they're working on courthouse hours, 1690. He's wanting to move one of them to a 40-hour work week and pay, on the hourly basis, pay 80 hours instead of the 1690 hours. Now, I'm still correct on that, correct, right?
Yes.
And his reasoning was they just weren't getting all the work done.
Yeah, his explanation to me was that he couldn't get it all done. He couldn't go out and visit the businesses and things like that between 9 and 4:30.
So the additional money, they're gonna get their work done if we give them more money.
Yes.
That's a great motivator.
He's wanting to increase him about 390 hours a year.
How much money is that?
Kelly, do you have any idea what that hourly rate is on that?
Yeah, his hourly rate is $14.72. I know that the 2080 puts him at $30,618.
That's a $5,740 increase.
How much? How much?
$5,740 annually. Divided by 52, $110 a week more. Going from 32 and a half hours to 40 hours. I know you have thoughts. You're about to pop.
No.
Yeah, but you and I've had this discussion.
I know, I personally, I'm not in favor of him or her and to go to a 40-hour work week. I think that just opens up the door for all sorts of things, so.
You're getting an agreeer over here. What are you thinking, Neil? Any?
Next item on the agenda.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. The election coordinator. Okay, now we're going into 2020 years. We got,
Is that Tom or Melissa?
that'd be Melissa. Yeah, Tom's one of the
Commissioners.
Commissioners, yeah, election commissioner. Or this coordinator is Melissa. Is Melissa still gonna be his coordinator? She is, isn't she?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. She has requested to work 40 hours per week just for the year 2020, because it is an election year apparently.
Presidential election, and plus we're getting all them equipment. I think that was one of the things said.
Yeah.
Equipment should be in the end of the month, is what she said, I think.
Talk to us, Janice. Your thoughts? Do we need a 40-hour election commissioner?
I'm not saying a word.
Nobody can file a run against you. It's got all of us.
Yeah, they said we was
It's past filing day.
Maybe we can get a deal on signs if we all go in together.
There you go. I hadn't thought about
Seven
that.
of us out there.
She needs more, but not.
Maybe not 40 hours.
Yeah, maybe not that.
How many hours is she being paid for now?
It's either 25 or 26. She gets retirement. She's not eligible right now for insurance benefits.
Now, this is one of those that if we bump it up very much at all, it's gonna bump into that other 14,000 package.
At 30 hours, she becomes eligible for insurance.
And she's working, and we're paying her for what right at the moment?
I think it's 26 hours a week.
So we could take her 3 more hours a week.
Right, before you'd have to start paying for the insurance. I don't know if she even wants it. I'm just saying we have to offer it at that 30-hour-a-week mark.
And this is only for we're just discussing the 2020 year, right?
Yep,
How about, let's do another 3 hours for this next.
taking her to 29.
Is that sound okay with you? But we'll never remember next year to take it back.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna come.
Women don't ever forget anything. I'll be got it, don't worry about it.
While we love her.
Y'all want some input from another
Yes,
election
sir.
official that doesn't want to talk, but I'll speak for her. She says 3 hours is not gonna be enough. Or that election
week.
official.
Okay, so do you really think, does she need, this year for 2020, do we need somebody 8 hours a
She needs more
day?
hours. I'm not saying she needs 40, but she does need more hours because those 2 weeks of early voting, sometimes when I leave, she's still working. And that's like 9, 10 o'clock.
I know she does a great job. It's not, this isn't personality or job
Yeah.
performance.
She needs
No,
more hours.
why are we doing it?
But I don't know what you're gonna do, but she does need more hours.
Well, dear,
But on the other hand, you're talking a whole year,
Yeah.
and we're only gonna have, hopefully, keep my fingers crossed, 4 elections maybe. Primary, runoff, school, and then general election and runoff. Well, the school will be in with the primary, so you won't even have that one separate. So 4 elections, unless we have special elections, which are small.
What other demands on her time is there? I mean, I know we're getting new election equipment.
Well, she'll be training the poll workers, but she should have those people trained by March because we do primary in March. I'm just giving you facts, y'all.
That's what we need. No, that's fine. This is what we need to hear.
What about maybe staying with this increase and then giving her the ability to take comp time? In other words, before an election, when she's working 40 hours a week, during the off season, during the summer and things like that, when she's not as busy, let her take comp days off or something.
Kelly, how's our policy now on comp time?
County employees can receive comp time in lieu of.
Even part-time employees?
You have to have earned it in order to take it.
But
Did
you
you
always
put
have to
overtime
remember.
hours in there?
Well, no, if she's not working
No, why
40
not?
hours a week, it's hour for hour.
Yeah.
But if she hits 40 hours, then it starts becoming an hour and a half for an hour.
I don't think comp time is the way to do it.
Might not be, just a thought.
It's, somebody's got to keep up with it.
All right, let me ask you this. If we bumped it to 40 hours and then made her eligible, and we can't tell her she can't have the insurance, not at all. But then what's gonna happen if we back her back down to 25 hours next year in 21.
Well, there's a law on that. Gosh, it's been 10 or 15 years. You can change somebody's position once you raise them up. You can change a position, but you cannot change the salary.
You can reduce hours.
That's
You
good.
can reduce hours, but
You
not
can reduce
benefits.
hours, but not pay.
So if we give her the $14,000 full-time package,
It's hers.
it's hers, period.
Now, you can put her to 1 hour a week, but the money is still hers.
Anybody else have a suggestion on this?
Personnel.
How about you put over, I know I'm not on the committee, but how about you put some kind of like overtime or something in there so she can get overtime hours? You know, just get paid for the extra hours she works.
Can we do that without bumping that benefit package?
Yes, as long as she doesn't consecutively work, I think.
She
there's
can't
a-
average more than 32
Right.
hours, or than 30
If she
hours.
averages less than 30 hours, we don't have to pay her insurance.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's with
your
overtime?
suggestion.
That's with overtime, right. This is,
I'll-
it's just an average.
Authorize, figure out what money it would take to do the hours. Set her at an hourly rate, just like she's paid right now. And say that she can average 29 hours a week. Because odds are, during election time, she's gonna run 40 hours a week. But during the summer, when she's not got an election going on, she may only average 23, 24, 25. Leave her, you could actually leave her at 25, but with the additional money to pay her the additional hours.
Overtime hours not to exceed an
Exactly.
annual total amount.
Exactly. And then next it is that you had to average it. Make her keep track of the average. And Kelly would be keeping track of it on a
Well, she didn't
regular
make any
basis.
so.
Yeah, she's got plenty of time anyway, so.
What do you think about that suggestion?
I think that's a good idea.
Just leave it like it is, but then authorize her to accumulate overtime and pay her at overtime
That was
rate.
your idea.
As long as,
Well, you wish they know that was your
we
idea.
explain to her that she needs to
Because I say
average
it's a good idea.
29
It's not a
throughout
good
the
idea.
year. And, we can keep a watch on it every 2 weeks, or,
Yeah.
however we need to do it. Then, yeah, I think that's a good idea. That keeps us from getting over that insurance eligibility mark, and then,
And also next year keeps us,
right.
29 hours at 52 weeks would be 1508. So as long as she didn't accumulate a total more than 1,500 hours. How's that?
yeah, I'm okay with that.
We're still gonna pay her for every hour she works. But
Exactly.
We're just not going to, we're not gonna authorize 40 hours a week.
She might work 50 hours during the election, but then 20
And
hours.
she'll have to be paying overtime for that 10 hours.
But
But when she goes back to non-election time, she would automatically go back to the 25 hours a week.
Ms. Clark, how do you feel about that arrangement?
Well, let me say this about that. I think that would have to be in her job description. That she's going to do this bouncing around
Okay.
because
Who does she answer to? Who is,
if that's not in her job description, we have messed up.
okay, who does she
Election
report
commissioners?
directly for? So we need
The
to get
judges
the
are
election
boss.
The
commissioners.
judge is her boss?
He hires her.
So he would need to write that,
Janet.
What are you pointing at me?
Yes, ma'am. Are
What'd you
you
say?
not their boss?
No, sir.
Not even Melissa's?
No, sir. The judge hires Melissa.
Then she doesn't have a boss.
She said the judge hires her, that the judge would be her boss. According to Janice.
I still think, my,
well, this isn't going to go into effect until January.
yeah.
So let's see if we can get that job description
Well, we can get that.
written that way.
Okay.
So we can pass it to personnel.
now the overtime she works, Kelly, if she works 40 hours, it'll be dollar for dollar, time and a half.
Well, if she is supposed to average 29 hours a week and she works 35, she's going to get overtime
Basically, that
at
she cannot-
straight time hours.
That she will
Straight time.
Up to
average 25
40.
hours a week.
And then anything over 40 hours a week, it
Mark,
will
did you
have to
figure
be
it
at time and a
25 or
half.
29 hours?
What's that? 29.
Okay, she will average 29 hours a week. So, and
1,500
that's over
hours.
the entire 12-month period.
Yeah, I mean, it can't happen often or she's not gonna average where she needs to
Well,
average, you know.
I think it would need to be very extenuating circumstances for her to go over 40 hours. Because when she goes
Well-
over 40, she gets into time and a half.
Yes,
Well,
and
and
so
ele-
y'all would
and
have to
election
set
nights.
that amount.
She's
You
going
have
to
to
have to
figure that
close
though,
each
can't you?
poll.
Molly,
You know, put a dollar figure in there that will cover
Those
that.
2 weeks of election, she's gonna go over 40 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I don't mind paying her for what she works.
No, I don't either.
As long
She
as-
deserves it.
As long as
Yeah,
we
she
keep,
does. She
as long as
does.
we keep that average below 29 where we're not having to provide insurance.
Okay, so will you make those dollar changes in there for us, and then we'll turn that to the personnel committee?
You got that, on the job description?
Payback,
That'll teach you.
payback.
Nope. I can't type that fast on this phone. 26 hours average. I wish you would.
Molly,
And what else
stop
was it?
helping me.
What else was it?
Ma'am?
What else was it?
All right,
26
next.
hours average, and what else?
Next victim.
Going straight down the list without picking on people, Daryl's next. Daryl, you're asking, kind of the same thing, aren't you?
The part-time or full-time, right now I don't have one at all, they quit. So, part-time to full-time.
You wanted to close a part-time slot that was paid, out of account number 3031 and open a full-time secretary slot to come out of county general with a max salary of 24,000.
Yes, sir.
What's the changes? What's going on?
Well, some of that money, like Cricket County, they pay for some of those, office supplies out of the juvenile fund, they call it. So what we're gonna do is try to move some of the stuff that we're paying, out of county general, out of the juvenile funds. And then the money that we're paying at part-time that we're allowed to pay out of juvenile fund, use that money for full-time, because they won't let us pay for full-time out of the juvenile fund.
Why do you need to go from part-time to full-time?
We,
You've been hearing all this discussion, so.
yeah, well, the state has now started mandating and requires law now, we have to do assessments. We gotta do 4 different assessments. And one of the biggie.
You talking about per defendant or per juvenile?
Yeah, every juvenile has to have the Ohio youth assessment when they come in. Then we have every one of them has to have a Macy and a CRAP. That's for alcohol and for mental health. 12 years on up. And then if it's a battery or a violent offense, robbery, any violent offense or sex offense, have to have the savory. That's the big one. It takes about 4 hours to complete, start to finish. And that is, and also if they go to DOS, they have to have a savory done. So that takes a lot of man hours just to do the assessments alone. Then we also have, when they started the website, we were told that we had a man on website. So one of our probation officers that could be doing savory also put stuff on our website, trainings that we have, we conducted and programs, do that. Not to mention the affidavit for petition, the subpoenas we do, summons and notice of hearings, fees petitions and contempt.
You're talking about taking some out of one of your budgets and then moving it and then swapping over.
Yes, sir.
But you're asking for 24,000 to come out of county general. How much are you moving out of county general and over into the other?
It's gonna come out to be about 14 out of county general, not counting insurance. But right now, I'm hoping I can find somebody who's married who get insurance on their husband, is what I'm looking for. But I can't plan on that.
No. So you're talking about $10,000 difference, not counting the benefit pack of going from part-time to full-time. So it'd be the full, it's gonna cost us $24,000 to do this.
Yes, still
And that'll
growing.
be continuous.
Is that part-time position, is it already overly busy? I mean,
Yeah, 'cause we do we have to do the ledger and the money that comes in. Because generally restitution, we take care of the restitution that comes in, they pay us on a paper trail. So a person does not pay restitution, we do a contempt on it. Same way with the school fines, the regular fines, that's the money that goes in county general.
where's
I mean,
this
not county
person,
general, Juvenile fund,
where would this person be officed?
here,
Here in this building? What's your office hours now?
8:30 to 4:30.
What about comp hours that the other people are putting in for doing all these evaluations? Will it equivalent out?
Yeah, well, we haven't been turning it in, but we've been doing it. I know.
I mean, comp hours do you put in a week?
How much did I put in? I put in about 50 probably when I did it. Not comp, 50 total, 15 total.
Just that we,
Huh?
I would think that we would need some just good data on how much it's gonna increase their workload. I mean, we're talking about, now we're just talking in hypotheticals, that it could potentially create more work because they have to do more testing. Nobody really knows how much more work. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Thoughts?
Could not hear him.
I'm sorry. I said, right now.
Couldn't hear him.
He's just saying they've got so many more responsibilities, it's been mandated on
Well, see,
them.
whenever someone says that, I'm always curious as to why throwing money at them, is that gonna make them more,
Effective and efficient.
thank you.
You hearing?
No, sir.
You're losing.
Okay. I expected. There's a roll of dice,
So what's the burden if we don't come through with this right now? What suffers?
Trying to get the kids in court is what's going to probably suffer the most, and trying to get the savory assessments done. Continue to coordinate out till we get the savory done in a timely manner. Because when we do the savory, we have to pull reports from school.
Explain the savory.
It's a structured assessment for violent reoffending youth. And what it is the state legislature passed this where they have to have a structured assessment because they think the assessment better be a judge on what a child may need. And then after they can score high, right here, I'll pass it around to you. I'm working on it now. They score high, medium, or low on the risk assessment. They have a risk of reoffending. Then they also just, can score after that. It depends on what the supervision is, high or low. And then if it's high, they look at stronger areas or weaknesses that say a child may have a violent tendency, but his main need that he has may be mental health. So that's going to be the strong areas we're going to try to tie them into. The bad thing with this whole assessment process is we have to have a risk and needs matrix. We have a low area where we have places in the community that we can plug these kids into to supply services. The bad thing in Mississippi County, we don't have a lot of services, so my office is now trying to come up with some in-house, trying to get them to find out their son in churches, if churches supply services. So we're trying to find what services we have out there too. That's been a struggle. Richard, Saturday, he did a class here for financial and how to respond to police officers and to try to fit some of those needs. He had like 8 people here. Also, then we have moderate. Moderate may be mental health, may be jail time. Well, jail time is high. Now the state is seeing that they try to keep them in the community. They don't like putting them in jail. They don't like sending them to DYS. They want them in the community to better service them. And like I said, that's the biggest struggle we're having. So that's...
Where are these people while these savory things are going on and before their court date?
One is sitting at the county, waiting for court tomorrow. One is sitting at the county at White River. Their attorneys are pleading out offense versus battery charges. So if they go on offense, I'm gonna have to do a savory. If they do a battery, I have to do a savory, so they'll either probably be released to another court date 2 weeks from now till the savory's completed. I mean, the state has now tried to prefer to keep them out of detention at all. I mean, it's just, and then we don't have a lot in our county right now, but the way it's set up now through the state as far as housing, people charges a bill. I have a bill sitting in White River, because we don't have a place for it in our county right now.
What did you say? You said that this could be an area for comp, so on the weeks that we don't.
Well, I know Richard and Earl put in a lot of comp hours that they don't turn in. I'm thinking if they had turned in all these hours, it would probably be worth a person and a half.
This person you're talking about, are they currently employed? You're just talking about increasing from part-time to full-time?
No, her part-time quit.
He doesn't have.
She had another job, so she quit. So I'm having to fill the part-time, but I thought, man,
Isn't it hard to keep a part-time person?
it's very hard to keep a part-time. I thought if it's full-time, I have maybe not better qualified, I'll give one that's,
I didn't know the state's increasing a lot of workload on them.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious in reading the Gazette every day and everything. They've had problems with the care incarcerated, and the governor and the legislature is pushing to keep the juveniles out of incarceration.
Our kids are failing for this reason.
They're pushing big on it, no doubt about that.
We've got 2 JPs that have law enforcement backgrounds. Either one of y'all want to weigh in any way?
Well, juveniles, when, I don't know how to word it there. I don't want, it's a burden. I mean, it's hard to deal with. It's a person's an adult, there's so much more that goes on there. And I mean, the sheriff could probably speak for this. I mean, it's a lot more burden on the sheriff's office to keep them incarcerated. I don't think he'd be here asking for extra help if he didn't need extra help. That's my honest opinion. I mean, there's a bunch of problem, I call them problem parents. That's why we got problem kids. That's my opinion, so.
Not getting any better.
Even when I got out of law enforcement 10 years ago, trying to keep up with the changes that they kept pushing through on juveniles. The biggest one I remember, you couldn't arrest anybody below 10 years of age. And most judges wouldn't talk to you if they were below 12. So seeing this form, this is just something else, and when it tells you to have your manual with you when you're gonna fill it out, that tells me right there that they're wanting specifics, and they've got specifics in that book. That's probably an hour and a half form to fill out minimum.
and they're
And
going
that's if you're a
computers.
good reader and can remember a lot of the stuff, so. Yeah, the fact that he doesn't have anybody, he's having trouble keeping someone, and yes, I realize it's coming back to personnel. I'm gonna say it's probably a miracle we haven't had to do this earlier. Especially, you say now you're doing 4 evaluations on everyone,
We have
and this is just one?
that's the biggie right there. After that's just kind of narrows it down, templates, I go to the computer, and then that's when I start plugging the information in. It's off the sheets right there, and all assessments and school records and all that.
Now, when I was in law enforcement, the sheriff's department didn't even house juveniles at that time. They started doing that basically after I left. They didn't even have a juvenile wing. Because if we wanted to house a juvenile, we had to take them to Craighead County to CYS prior to conviction.
Committee, thoughts, recommendations?
I'm not one to want to create positions, but in this case, I personally feel like it's justified.
I'm gonna stay consistent with mine. I would like to just see the numbers on it before I would create a full-time spot for it.
I'll ride with the committee. I couldn't hear him, he was mumbling as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm not on the committee, but listening to him, he does need full-time help. I'm not on the committee. because that is a lot of work.
Giving you a lot of weight.
The only thing that, I'm sitting there hearing that he's working 10 hours a week, and he's not turning in comp time. I mean, he's putting this, and he's lost his part-time employee. So it's like to me, Daryl's going to work possibly 15 hours a week over. And I tend to agree with what Justice Jackson said too. I would like to see some more figures on it, but I still feel like he needs the person.
Well, I don't work at the juvenile department, but I do handle juvenile court, and I don't really care for Daryl a whole lot. I'm just messing with him. But as far as my court load in juvenile,
No, you can't have somebody else.
I'm not asking, heaven forbid I ask for somebody else, because y'all are gonna be this nice to me. I'm just simply throwing in my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
How much is
That-
the juvenile work?
That the juvenile work and DHS work, is nonstop, just like criminal is. I'm just telling you. It's nonstop with me, just like it is with them, and it's worse than it gets worse every day, just like the criminal court gets worse every day. And I'm not trying to take up for Daryl, I'm just giving you my 2 cents worth.
That's pretty nice of you, even though you don't like him.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that's the kind of person I am.
Guys, we've got the preponderance of everybody kind of in favor of that. What if we go ahead and budget for the full-time and leave it contingent on getting this past the personnel committee as far as job description? I love this.
I agree with that one.
Justice Jackson said she would agree with that. How do y'all feel?
That sounds fine.
Kelly?
Okay, so I need to go ahead and put in the budget numbers for full-time,
Yes.
out of county general.
Yes, and we'll let him, Daryl, you're gonna have to work with the personnel committee,
Yes, sir.
Justice Ash and his committee, and get a different job description. And if they'll do that, then we'll move forward.
Yes.
We'll have to call another meeting. We'd like to see a job description go along with it, so if you can sit down and formulate that.
Yes.
And more figures to justify it. I'm not saying, just whatever you can come up with and help us justify it.
I
We'll
get
appreciate
it.
it.
I mean, because I would hope.
Is that all?
Just
Didn't
what I
you
would
hear anybody
increase on
justify,
for me. How
oh, I
many
need
hours
more help.
per
I mean, I
person
can
doing
tell you
these
I need
things?
more help.
I won't say what I'm gonna say until you get to the last time.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're not gonna have the meeting today. You'll be notified.
Okay.
But I
You come way
can
further
be 8 or
than
9
you think you
o'clock
will.
sometimes before you get
And I did
started.
you a favor, Daryl, because I put you there instead of after this next one, because we got the same thing again. Now, we've dealt with Daryl in the juvenile department. Our public defender, John Bradley. John's wife has been his secretary for years. She's done an excellent job. She's served him well. She's retiring the first of the year, January 2020. She has worked as a part-time position. 20 hours, Kelly?
She's 25, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
She
But he
gets
wants to do the same. He wants to replace her with a full-time secretary. We haven't gotten anything out of him, do not know what he wants to pay the new position, and nothing has been included in our budget at this time for any changes in his office. Now, with that said, we have gotten advice, direction. Do you have that?
I do.
Justice Jackson has got some information from Eddie Jones, who's working with the Arkansas Association of Counties, in which he gives us a little bit of direction in both the public defender and public prosecuting.
Yes,
Prosecutor's
and I'll
office.
certainly forward this or print this off for the next one. I think we may have gotten,
I meant to have it with me and I ran off and left it.
so there's 2 basic revenues to fund the public defense fund. One is a percentage of the admin of justice funds. The second is a portion of a bond fee that is remitted to the counties quarterly by the State Public Defender Commission. These revenues are to pay for what counties are obligated for under law. He goes on to talk some more, but we can pay for personnel, but it is but he even puts it in bold letters, we never recommend to do that. Apparently, and this is what I'd like a little bit more clarification on at some point, is it only makes it more difficult to get the state to pay for what they are supposed to be paying for. So I don't know if the state is supposed to be paying for his office staff or exactly how that works, but what is recommended for us to do is that we pay for his office expense, whether that be rent or anything that goes along with office expense, which currently we pay none of that. We are only paying for his staff. So I realize this is late in the game, so my thought on it would be to leave it like it is, and over the next 12 months, get some clarification on a few of these things and go from there. But my personal opinion is, I don't think we should increase his staff at this, or start to pay for a full-time person where we've been paying for a part-time person. Peggy sent, she sent the revenues from both of these funds, and currently it looks like what we're paying, if it all goes well, will be about even. It may be a little bit of an increase, the county may be a little bit out of pocket, but certainly if we move to a full-time spot, we would be way out of pocket.
So currently, we're not paying his office expense.
We pay none of his office expense. And budget, well, he asked for us to pay, what did he ask for us to pay?
Full-time secretary.
Well, no, but he doesn't have a part-time investigator at the moment, so we paid part of his office expense, is that right?
Well, maybe, you probably asked me that and maybe I answered wrong. But we do pay office supplies, we pay his rent, we pay his utilities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and, we pay his public defender, his deputy public defenders. Postage, internet,
Oh, okay.
things like that.
I was wrong then, okay.
Well, I think I may have,
No, it's okay, no, that's all right, but,
maybe I didn't understand, but, and on top of that, we pay for his part-time secretary, a part-time investigator, and a full-time investigator. But like Justice Jackson was saying, he has not used that part-time investigator slot the whole time of the 2019 budget.
Tell you what, do you have that account number in front of you?
Yes, it's 1,000.0417.
Paying, currently, budget's $57,588 in salaries, full-time, $10,000 part-time hourly wages, Social Security, retirement, and insurance, so a total personal services, salaries, and benefits, $91,000 in that office at the moment. $1,900 in office supplies, $570 in small equipment. Professional services, $18,000. Telephone, $3,600. Oh gosh, you can go way on down the list, but we've got utilities, office expenses, internet, $1,800. Utilities are $3,700. Rent's $3,600. His total office budget for the year is $131,500.
so then I'm way incorrect, and so that we are really, so the two
We are
revenue
paying his
funds,
office
yeah.
expenses.
So and the revenue from the two funds that Peggy sent we're not even close to that.
So, yeah,
Mr. Jones recommended that we pay the office expenses, but not the personnel.
Yes, in his words, we never, in capital letters, recommend that you do that.
sounds like, and maybe we need to talk to Mr. Jones a little bit more, but it sounds like he has at least the opportunity, and I like John, he's a good guy, and quietly does a very good service for the county.
And he keeps his lawn mowed, he's my next door neighbor.
But maybe we need to ask Mr. Jones if he doesn't have other sources.
Well, that's why my thought was that we just simply leave it like it is and get that information maybe over the next 12 months.
Well, the thing about when we do pass our budget, it's always subject to amendment.
Right.
And if we find that he has no other alternatives, and I understand, just like with Daryl or anybody, that it's hard to keep a part-time person or to find somebody qualified, especially in a legal office, that's qualified to do, legal work on a part-time basis.
When is she retiring?
January.
This January?
Well, he just needs to put his foot down and not let his wife retire.
Or get another one. Yeah, two wives.
But, I'd kind of follow along with Molly about just leaving it like it is
Well, he's
until we
gonna
get
have
more
help come January.
information. Well, he's got a part-time position open if we leave it like it is.
We need a lighter moment for a minute.
I'll agree with Molly.
And then we'll
Maybe there's, yeah, maybe
We'll
we
talk
can find
to
some
you.
other
I'll
funds.
agree with her.
We'll try to send Eddie an email and ask, what other sources of revenue does he have for office personnel and see. I want to help him.
Me too, I would love to, listen, I think he does a tremendous job, but I also think it's important for us to,
What I was gonna say a while ago, I want you to finish that, is we are trying to squeeze every nickel we can squeeze
We can fix it
to
later.
cover this insurance, and we're having to deal with these additional personnel requests, and they just don't understand what we're trying to do for them, and they feel like, everybody feels like they need additional people. And, it's kind of like Neil, it just irritates me.
Well,
Did I fail to do that?
we could ask personnel.
Oh, well,
that pretty well takes care of our request, but we've got a couple of changes that have been made in the budget at various officials' requests. One of them, and I don't mean to pick on him after he left, I didn't realize he was fixing to leave, but I was going to get to it. The sheriff had us increase his food budget from $184,000 to $210,000. But then when you ask him why, he said, well, I was spending $200,000, I was just going over budget, thought I might as well just put it in there.
I tried to get him to feed him bologna and white beans, and he will not do it.
That cost him too much.
Make them have them on guard.
After that nutritional expert gets through
Yeah, they used to be.
you wish.
Sure. 40 years ago, they
Don't
did.
grow it, you don't eat it.
Buy chickens.
Answer is find the
Yeah,
money out of
chickens
some
be
other.
great.
Kelly, are there other changes that I need to get on?
Well, because of the minimum wage law, senior citizens has some people at minimum wage that are gonna have to go up to $10 an hour. This year it was $9.25, it's going to $10 an hour in 2020. So I have to make that change. And I'll see if there's anybody else. Right now, I think it's just senior citizens.
And then in 2021, it goes to $11 an hour.
I think that covers all our requests now then. You and I had a discussion a while ago that you're not real comfortable with being able to have time to make all these changes in time for our regular Tuesday meeting. How do you feel? I mean, do we need to put it off to December? Because we can.
Well, I just don't know how I can get it all done and maybe meet before Tuesday, unless maybe we can meet Tuesday.
We can meet Monday.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Let her do what she needs to do in the time that she
Have.
needs to be comfortable with it. Let her tell you, and then you call a special meeting.
Is that okay?
And give us time to look at it a little bit too, before it comes to the,
My son plays
All I need to see is
in the
that
second round of
money.
playoffs.
well, that's true.
Friday. I won't be here Friday, so I knew that was gonna be.
Okay, that's fine.
We have to travel to Crossett, which is on the Louisiana border. So I knew I was gonna be gone Friday, but, today's shot, and,
Mhm.
so I really only have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that's, I really need to go over everything with a fine tooth comb, because this will be the final numbers. And I just wanna make sure.
All right, so if it's okay with y'all, then we'll tentatively plan on pulling it from this month's budget and putting it on, or this month's meeting and putting it on next month's meeting. Give everybody a little bit of time, breathing room. We're not in a rush. We're not under any kind of legal obligation. And that way she can put it together in a better form. And then y'all will have time to actually look at it. Is that okay?
Sure, yes.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Yes,
we've just
that's-
been
no,
delayed
that's
in
fine
getting
with
these
me, yeah.
requests in. It's been like pulling teeth from these department heads, trying to get these budget requests in this year.
Don't say pulling teeth, he just gets all bent
Yeah,
out of shape.
talk about it.
I would just like clarification from Kelly on this.
Won't we,
Personnel?
yes.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Y'all like passing the buck.
Okay.
There's been a lot of bucks passed today.
It's bigger and bigger.
Have I read it? Yeah.
Have you
Yeah, I
read it? Okay, I'm ready too.
All right, so, Finance Committee meeting, we got a regular quorum court meeting next Tuesday night. We don't have any regular monthly business to present out of this committee. And at this point, it doesn't look like we're gonna present the budget until our December meeting. So, does anybody have anything else to come before the Finance Committee for today's meeting? Cindy, you know of anything, huh?
No, sir.
Did the judge have anything he wanted?
He did not leave me anything that he wanted to mention.
Okay.
Michael, is there anything, and I'm sure all of you have your copy.
That's got to be on the agenda, might as well do it this month.
We can do that this month. Did everybody get their copy of their legislative audit report?
Yes.
It's a good report.
There was a question I had, I don't understand, I haven't seen this before. The collector's bank accounts were under collateralized by
What
$7
that
million.
what that means is they had, say, $5 million in the bank, and they didn't have government stock or government bonds to cover $5 million. And I got written up on that several times.
You had to call. And
So you go to the bank, and it's free. Doesn't cost you anything, it's free.
So it's not a big thing.
Well, you just get rolled up on it. Last year's first year wasn't rolled up, but Susan was under the protection that Southern Bancorp was gonna take care of her,
Mm-hmm.
which she evidently mistaken, and that was the only bank, I believe, that had covered.
But it's been brought to someone's attention.
Oh, it's brought up every year like that, yeah.
It shouldn't be.
Huh?
Shouldn't be.
Oh, I mean,
I
last
didn't
year's
remember
first
Susan.
year that I would never rolled up for it,
Yeah.
If it don't be too long.
Always gonna be long.
but personally took care of it too, you know.
And then there was another one in regards to the assessor's office, something about not completed backup records or something.
No, I think.
Well, the
They gotta have-
data
have more
system was
people
supposed to
to
have
pay.
the backup every day on it.
You wouldn't sell that Mercedes.
So I don't know where the ball dropped on that
I
at.
guess we'd have to check with Harley.
Unless the server system had gone down somewhere or another.
Would,
Maybe it's
do you
the
want to make a
off-site
motion that
part of
we
it.
add that to
Maybe
the
it's the
agenda?
off-site
All we
part
have to do is acknowledge that we received
You know,
the
I would
report
have
and
to
look
be
at
I
it.
moved it,
Yeah, that's what the
Add it to
data
the
system
agenda.
usually backs up every
I second.
day.
Okay. All in
Where's it
favor?
go?
It's in the system.
Cindy, will you add that on the
Yes, sir.
agenda that we'll just acknowledge our
Where's your hand
receipt?
signature?
All right, guys, with that, I will adjourn the Finance Committee meeting and get up and vacate the president's position for the president of the Personnel Committee.
I was gonna say, I didn't run.
Oh, you can't leave.